Good morning and welcome to the Standing Committee meeting for Wednesday, March 17, 2021. Council will continue to meet virtually until further notice. Meetings can now be viewed live on the city channel and live streamed on YouTube. Our first order of business is public comment. I would like to remind all speakers that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before city council, and profanity will not be permitted. Please provide your name and neighborhood for the record. After doing so, you will be given 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Aikuhana Haumaukina, which will be followed by Mir Shada Begovic. Our first speaker is Aikuhana Haumaukina, who I do not see at this time. Therefore, we'll move on to Mirsada Begovic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name is Mirsada Begovic. I live in South Auckland neighborhood in city Pittsburgh. My public comment is related to city parks tax. I received recently a city parks tax bill with my millage listed 50% higher, double than on my city Pittsburgh property tax bill. To find out the reason for this discrepancy in millage, and why I have to pay the higher city parks tax, I called the City Department of Finance. I was told that they cannot do anything, fix the problem, and that I should contact mayor office, his neighborhood community relations staff, and my councilman, Representative Bruce Krause. Until today, 2 weeks later, I did not receive any call back. So I will leave my contact information with city clerk, hoping that some of elected officials, either Bruce Krause or somebody from mayor's office, will contact me regarding this discrepancy and why I need to pay a higher city parks tax. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Kim Wilkes, followed by Wendy McBride. I do not believe I see Kim with us, nor do I see Wendy. Our next speaker would then be Lisa Harris, followed by Dan Rossi. And I do not see Lisa, but I do see Dan Rossi. So Dan, if you would unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to provide comment on the reptile legislation and the impact that it has with Humane Animal Rescue of Pittsburgh. As you know, we are the organization that has the contract with City Animal Care and Control. We have had great difficulties in the past with various dangerous reptiles that the city has to pick up and needs a place to put them. So of course they come to us under our contract. In 2019 alone, we received total of eight crocodiles / gators here within our organization. We are primarily a humane organization that's set up to deal with dogs, cats, bunnies, companion animals. We don't have the capacity to deal with large and dangerous animals to this degree and this level. It causes great strain on our systems here to try and house these animals and then get them transported to adequate and appropriate housing. It also puts our staff at high risk of injury and bites, let alone the animal care and control city of Pittsburgh staff that actually have to go out and capture and deal with these animals. The other issue which is addressed in this legislation is red slider turtles. Sounds like a small issue, but believe me, it becomes a very difficult issue for us as a humane organization to deal with as well. These turtles in captivity can live 50, 60 years. They're sold all over the city for minimal cost. People don't understand what they're getting themselves into when they purchase these. They don't understand the length of the commitment they're making. So often after a couple years, those turtles come to us. We have very limited placement for them. These are turtles that in our environment we cannot just release. They will die in the wintertime here, which is inhumane. They're very difficult in the fact of maintaining. Their tank water gets pretty rancid very quickly and requires weekly changing as well. We have had over 1 year, over 30 of these turtles sent over to us. Officer Luffy also worked on a situation where we received over 130 of these turtles, undersized, in really bad shape. Fortunately, we were able to find a rescue to take them while charges were being taken care of. But again, these are situations that have huge impacts on our system, strains our system, and these animals just are not humanely being taken care of.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Officer Christine Luffy.
Good morning. I've been a police officer for the past 28 years. For about 24 years, I've specialized in cases involving animal neglect and abuse. I want to briefly share with you my experience with dealing with reptiles in the city of Pittsburgh. In June of 2019, a man walking his dog noticed an alligator on Rutherford Avenue. He immediately called 911. Animal care and control officers came to the scene. They were able to remove the alligator and transport it to Humane Animal Rescue. This animal was 5 foot in length, which is dangerous to small children and to other animals. This incident made the news. I live in the community of Beachview, and I told my supervisors after learning about this incident that I believe that I may know who owns this alligator on Rutherford Avenue. This man had stopped me prior to this incident, and he told me that he owns reptiles. Based on the experience and the knowledge that I have, myself and Officer Tracy Schweitzer, we began investigating this incident. We spoke with many neighbors and learned that the suspect has many reptiles inside his house and that he had additional alligators. Subsequently, we knocked on the suspect's door. He invited us inside of the house. He admitted that the 5 foot alligator that was loose in the community belonged to him, that the alligator's name is Chomp, and that Chomp is very mean. I asked him if we could look at all of the other animals inside of his house. He allowed us to. We viewed, I believe, 4 additional alligators, many snakes, rabbits, and other reptiles. I remember that a sergeant had brought to my attention that he heard a noise coming from a tote, a plastic tote that was covered with a lid. I asked the suspect what that was, and he told me that there was an alligator inside of there. Most of the animals that I witnessed in his home were not properly housed. They weren't properly cared for. They didn't have what they needed. An alligator in a bin without ventilation, food, or water is not good. I noticed that the snakes did not have proper locks to keep them contained. And I noticed that the enclosure that he built with water and tubs down in the basement was very dirty and not sufficient for this alligator. He was, we removed 33 reptiles from his home on a search warrant. They were transported to Humane Animal Rescue where they were being cared for. The man was arrested. This case is currently in the criminal system. I want to share with you, in the summer and fall of 2020, I received information that a store was selling baby turtles for $20 for anyone who wanted to purchase a turtle.
Thank you, Officer Huffy. Your 3 minutes expired, which is why you were placed on mute, but thank you for your testimony. That does exhaust our registered speakers list, taking us to our standing committee agenda. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Reverend Burgess,
Here.
Mr. Coghill,
Here.
Ms. Gross,
Here.
Mr. Crowell,
Here.
Mr. O'Connor.
Here.
Mrs. Kell Smith. Ms. Strasburger,
Here.
Mr. Wilson,
Here.
Mr. Lavelle, Chair.
Here.
8 members present.
Our first committee of the day is Finance and Law, which is chaired by myself. Can we read Bill 1276 and 1277 together? Both need a motion for executive session.
Bill 1276, resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in the total sum of $55,000 in favor of Will L. and Todd J. Hollis as final settlement of all claims, costs, and fees related to the plaintiff only in the police-related action filed in the U.S. District Court, which has a pending in multiple stages of litigation since 2015. Bill number 1277, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Joanne Zokar and her attorney in the amount of $12,500 in full and final settlement of litigation filed in the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County.
To hold for executive session. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bills will be held for executive session. Next is Bill 1228, which also needs held, but I will first need a motion to amend by substitution. Bill 1278.
Motion to amend.
Bill 1278, resolution authorizing the mayor and the city solicitor to enter into a professional services agreement with Chris Boyle Law Enforcement Consulting LLC for professional consultant services in connection with litigation in an amount not to exceed $13,000.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Second.
Second motion to amend.
Second.
Thank you. The only amendment here, the only change is we're making the proposed payment via warrant as opposed to the professional services agreement.
Great.
Any discussion on the amendment by substitution? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The bill is amended. Now we'll need a motion to hold for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill will be held for executive session. That takes us to our invoices. Need a motion for the invoices.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Invoices are approved. That takes us to our interdepartmental transfers. We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, although the bills are approved, sorry. Next, we need a motion for our P cards.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? P cards are approved. That takes us to our Public Safety Services Committee, chaired by Mr. O'Connor. Our first deferred paper is Bill 1087.
Bill 1087, ordinance supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title I, Administrative, Article 3, Organization, Chapter 116, Department of Public Safety, to add a new subsection 116.17, prohibition on the execution of no-knock warrants by requiring all city police officers when executing any warrant to physically knock and announce the presence of police before entering a premise.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to make a motion to hold this bill for 2 weeks, but then after we make a hold, I am going to request the floor to make a motion to waive the rules on Bill 0145. So motion to hold this bill 2 weeks.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Bill will be held 2 weeks. Councilman O'Connor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the request of the prime sponsor, I would like to make a motion to waive the rules of council to have Bill 0145 be presented at the table now.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Do we need a roll call vote, Madam Clerk? No? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Bill will be brought to the table.
Okay, so now that the bill's on the table, I would just make a motion to approve with discussion and pass it off to Councilman Kraus.
Thanks. Can we have,
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, if the clerk could please read the bill. This is
yes,
the animal bill, yes.
thank you.
Give me a sec. Let me pull that up right quick. Bill 145, ordinance amending ordinance number 36 of 2019, amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code Title 6, Conduct Article 3, Dogs, Cats, and Other Animals, by repealing Chapter 639, Crocodilian and Venomous Snakes in its entirety, and adding a new Chapter 639, Crocodilia species and red ear sliders, prohibiting the keeping, sale, exchange, adoption, exchange, or transfer of such animals in the city of Pittsburgh.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, Councilman O'Connor?
I will yield to Councilman Kraus.
Thank you very much. And thanks, Councilman, and thanks for members for engaging. I will keep my comments brief. I cannot supersede the comments that were made by the Executive Director of Humane Animal Rescue and our Community Relations Officer for Zone 3, Christine Luffy, with an extensive history in animal rights cases. Some of the what you heard this morning that even surprised me was the lifespan of the red slider turtle being 50 to 60 years. That so far 30 have been turned into Humane Animal Rescue for their care and control. And then Officer Luffy's discovery of 130 additional that through her skill and expertise and compassion and passion, were able to find housing for them. But you can imagine the staggering responsibility that we would be putting on Humane Animal Rescue to care for 160 animals that have a lifespan of 50 to 60 years. And then the reptilian purchase and ownership of reptiles. I had an opportunity with other members to speak with Officer Luffy at length about this. And the piece of the ordinance that we wish to change is the ability to purchase these as long as they are contained. And we all, each of us agreed that the containment of reptiles in garages in Rubbermaid containers is not humane care for reptiles. And the fact that what we're seeing here is that people are purchasing these, not realizing the lifespan and the responsibility and the size that they reach. And when they come to the realization are releasing them in the wild, which is unbelievably unsafe for everyone involved, whether it be people, children, or other animals. And if they do choose to keep them, what the officer is finding in her work is that they're being contained in Rubbermaid containers in garages without air, ventilation, or water. It's just, it's unbelievably inhumane. So with that, I will end my comments because I cannot supersede the comments that were made by our two speakers of public comment. I ask for members' support and to please vote the bill through. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilman Coghill?
Mr. Chair, sorry, I had my hand up too.
Okay.
So I'll yield to Councilwoman Gross first.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Chair, is that okay?
Yes.
This wasn't on today's agenda, and I am kind of refreshing myself now, and I'm grateful that Councilman Cross called me last night. I asked him if there was anything in the bill that prevents the zoo from maintaining its reptiles. And I just want to draw everyone's attention to the exceptions to the ban, because it is a kind of complete ban on the keeping of crocodilian species or red-eared sliders. The exceptions are a educational institution or medical institution if it's kept for the primary purpose of instruction, study, or research. B, a veterinarian employed by the federal government or state board of veterinary medicine. C, a properly maintained zoological park or facility accredited or certified specifically by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which is generally called the AZA. I want to draw members' attention to the fact that the Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium is not currently certified by the AZA, which is, I think, some of what we've heard about in the past. It's a bit of a bone of contention because the AZA accreditation is also required by the city's lease to the zoo. And so we've heard about this at this table before. I believe I would be more comfortable with this bill if we again implored the zoo to pursue the AZA accreditation, but allowed some time period, specified in the legislation, perhaps, as we often do for kind of effectuation dates. But this does need to be discussed. We don't want to upon passing the zoo, Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium would be out of compliance with the ordinance. And so maybe I should ask the sponsor what then happens.
So, Mr. Chair, if you'll permit,
Yes.
the ordinance grandfathers all reptilians that are presently housed and owned at the Pittsburgh Zoo. And the only effect the ordinance would have on the zoo would be any new purchases or acquisitions of reptilians. And I don't,
because I am scrolling on my screen and, generally I'm able to follow when we're on paper in the same room. Is it section 639.04 previously owned animals, maybe?
yes.
And is it in there, but I'm not seeing it?
It is. I don't have the ordinance up right here. Forgive me.
I see persons. It does say in some of the sections, it says person or entity. Proof of ownership for 6 months prior to the effective date.
Yes. Where are you, Councilwoman? Help me just
Yeah,
get
I'm
there.
sorry. I'm on my screen, so there's not a page number.
You're
but
on 639.04 previously.
04, yes.
Yeah, previously owned animals. And in that section, it covers anything that is presently housed at the zoo. Excuse me. What I don't want to do is complicate this conversation with the zoo's inability to meet their contractual obligations to be accredited by AZA. That is a completely different conversation that takes place, excuse me, I believe within the administration when they craft the new agreement with the zoo.
But I mean, you put the AZA accreditation in that section, or the properly maintained zoological park with AZA accreditation. So, I mean, I just read the section that you have in your bill.
Yep. I don't have further comment on it, Councilwoman. What I'm here to accomplish today is the assistance to Dan Rossi, the Executive Director of Humane Animal Rescue, and Officer Luffy in the work that she does, and to argue for the care and compassion of all animals that live within the city of Pittsburgh. So
I can
I don't have-
appreciate that. I have the floor. I can appreciate that. And I do think that the AZA accreditation at the zoo is also an important conversation, maybe not to passage of today's bill, but it is an important conversation. The lease is due to terminate in a year or so. And so I just think that this situation needs clarity. And if there needs to be time to talk about how that happens, I think we should make that time. I would like to circle around and full disclosure, I serve on the board of the zoo. It sits entirely in my city council district. And we are, again, tangential to this bill, but not unrelated. The footprint that is leased to them is kind of relevant to and borders areas that we've been working on as a neighborhood and with city stakeholders to improve and provide recreation areas in Highland Park. And there's been a bit of a tussle about where those borders meet and what's going to happen with some of those properties. So it's been an ongoing conversation for a number of years with a lot of community input. So my mind can't help but go there. And I'll abstain today. And I would like to talk more about this with other stakeholders and possibly with the administration. I know we've had executive sessions on this bill before. This is a slightly tangential issue, but it's very important to my district. So, but I am comfortable with the other parts of the bill. So thank you for your time. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Coghill.
Yes, I first want to start with Officer Luffy and thank you for your compassion. We reside in the same neighborhood, and even beside the alligator or crocodile, I can't remember exactly what it was, named Chomp, I mean, says it all right there. But Officer Luffy has taken a number of dangerous animals and aggressive animals off of the street. And, I know she walks there with her own child, but, there's many, many people that walk by this particular house that had Chomp as a resident. So I just want to thank her for her compassion always with, the animal kingdom. And Councilman Kraus, I can't say I won't miss hearing about this bill. It's been a long time coming. I think it's been on the table since I've started here in council, but also want to thank you for your compassion and, putting this finally, I hope, to an end. And, I will be in full support. And I want to thank Mr. Rossi as well. And you can count on me to vote yes today. Thanks.
Thanks, Councilman.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Smith, Chair.
2 abstentions. Bill receives affirmative recommendation. That takes us to our Public Works Committee, chaired by Councilman Coghill. First new paper is Bill 1268.
Bill 1268, resolution further amending resolution number 647 of 2020, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2021 Capital Budget and the 2021 CDBG Program and the 2021 through 2026 Capital Improvement Program by increasing bridge upgrades by $190,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Bill 1269.
Bill 1269, resolution approving the recommendation made by the Director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure that Hermitage Street be paved with asphalt in accordance with section 41706 of the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances.
Motion to approve.
Get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Bill 1270.
Bill 1270, resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the construction phase of the 30th Street Bridge construction project and providing for the payment of municipal incurred costs not to exceed $1,600,000 and the municipal share of Commonwealth incurred costs not to exceed $2,500.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill is recommended. That takes us to Land Use and Economic Development Committee, chaired by Councilman Wilson. One deferred paper, Bill 1085.
Bill 1085, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code Title 9 zoning Article 6, Development Standards, Chapter 914, Parking, Loading, and Access by adding a new Section 91409J, Parking Access for Single Unit Attached Residential Uses to require rear or side access to off-street parking spaces for single-family attached dwellings.
Motion to hold for cable cast public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Bill will be held for public hearing. That takes us to our Human Resources Committee, chaired by Councilman Kraus. One new paper, Bill 1279.
Bill 1279, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Human Resources and Civil Service to enter into a professional services agreement and/or contract with NeoGov for the upgrade and continual maintenance of software for HR, workforce management, applicant tracking, and civil service testing, and providing for the payment of costs thereof not to exceed $88,698.41.
Need a motion? I don't see Councilman Kraus with us.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill is recommended. That takes us to our Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilwoman Gross. First new paper is Bill 1272.
Bill 1272, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for proposed land development located at 3209 and 3211 Dobson Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Bill 1273.
Bill 1273, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for Catherine Terrence at 618, 620, 622, 624 Elmore Street, and 621, 23, 25, and 627 Perry Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Bill 1274.
Bill 1274, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for 5007 Lytle Street, 15th Ward.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Bill 1275.
Bill 1275, resolution providing for an agreement with the Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh to provide training on the Fair Housing Act to staff of the city of Pittsburgh and the URA and/or Housing Authority of the city, and to private landlords operating in Pittsburgh, and to provide quarterly presentations and technical assistance on the Fair Housing Act to staff of the city, URA, and/or Housing Authority of the city in an amount not to exceed $259,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing
Brief
none.
discussion.
Councilwoman
I-
Kraus?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm supportive of this. I honestly just wanting to learn a little bit more about what this entails and how this is going to operate.
Sure. I mean, I'm not sure if I can speak to like its administration specifically, but I met with the director, and this is not much different than our annual support for the Fair Housing Partnership, except that there is training. I think it says it pretty straightforwardly, to the Urban Redevelopment Authority, Housing Authority, because we have so many different buckets of employees doing housing support, like Housing Opportunity Fund. There's some 40 people now at the RA, I understand, doing rent relief work. And so there's a lot of new employees, right? And so there's a lot of people in the affordable housing space specifically, but that isn't always entirely the same as being knowledgeable about fair housing, which is mostly around more discrimination and just, you know, protected classes. Right. And so to make sure that we are not in using public funds and doing housing work, are also doing it according to federal fair housing laws. And that's all I know from my end. If I don't know if any of the members from the Housing Authority board or the URA board have a different picture of how it's going to roll out. I don't know if Councilman Lavelle or Councilman Burgess has a different take on it.
No, your take is accurate as I understand it, Councilwoman. I was just looking.
Councilman Sparkberger, did that answer your question? Are you kind of like who, what, when, where, how?
I guess my only other question, it all sounds great. It's necessary. I guess my only other question is does this expand any current, does this go above and beyond anything we're currently doing? I really like that, you know, education and technical assistance to landlords is in there. And it's definitely not an urgent question. It's more just a curiosity about how this works and whether this is, you know, an expansion of program or.
It is. I mean, it's my understanding that it is a kind of combining, I mean, it's the kind of annual support, because we do put money into the Fair Housing Partnership each year, right? And so it's so some of it is just their internal administration. And then this year there's the added kind of training across the silos that aren't talking to each other on a daily basis, but are each independently doing housing work. And so they need that training. And yes, I also am enthusiastic that you see the clause to private landlords. And so that is especially, I believe, around getting landlords comfortable with receiving Section 8 in an educational way, not in a mandatory way, as we're all still awaiting Councilman Lavelle's source of income legislation to get through the courts. But any kind of education around how the system works, how it could, you know, make you comfortable and demystify it is helpful.
Thank you. I have no further questions. I appreciate that explanation.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Burgess.
Since we opened this door, I just want to kind of talk a little bit, just real briefly, not long, about affordable housing. I hear sometimes even those who advocate for affordable housing say things that I think are not correct. You know, I know that there is a need for very low income housing, and we want to provide that. And there's some who are saying, you know, that we should not build mixed income housing in Black communities, right? Which is, to me, kind of an odd statement, but I've heard it said. The truth of it is, we know that when you concentrate poverty, that has bad outcomes for those families and those children. So we've lived that, right? We've lived that in Edison Terrace. We've lived that in Homewood North. We've lived that, you know, in what used to be called projects across the city. We know that doesn't work. That's why the Housing Authority has moved to this mixed income housing thing. The issue really is, in my opinion, the problem is not building mixed income communities in poor communities. It's building mixed income housing in affluent communities. We have to get to the point where mixed income occurs in every development, in every neighborhood. That's the goal. The goal is not that we should not put, mixed income in poor communities. We absolutely should, right? We want market rate and middle class housing in communities of opportunity, but we also need low income housing in communities of choice and in communities of wealth. And so that's really the goal. The goal is to build, and I think that's something we can all get together on, right? The goal is to build mixed income housing in all neighborhoods across the city as much as we can. That's really the goal. I think that's a good goal that we can all work on together. All right, that's all.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill is recommended, and I believe that does exhaust our agenda for today. Yep. So we do have some meeting announcements. Tomorrow, Thursday, March 18th, with sessions at 9 a.m., 9:30, and 10 a.m., Council will hold a briefing to discuss the historic designations in the Catholic Church as it relates to St. John Vianney Church. Next week, Council will hold their regular and standing committee meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday, March 23rd and March 24th at 10 a.m. To register to speak at the council meetings, please fill out in the sign-up form on the council meeting schedule webpage. Registration deadlines are 9 a.m. the day of the regular and standing committee meetings. You may also register to speak by calling the city clerk's office at 412-255-21. Is there anything from members?
Councilman Lavelle, I'd just like to add a little bit of clarity for tomorrow, the briefings. The first one is about St. John Vianney. The two following are about the future of the Catholic diocese and their buildings and their possibility of closing and historic designation. Just where are we going with some of these buildings and how can we work better with the diocese? That's what the following two briefings should be about.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to take a moment last night, and I'll speak with Councilwoman Strasburg about this as well. We saw a number of hate crimes throughout the Asian community in Atlanta, and I believe I represent probably the largest in the city, as well as Councilwoman Strasburg. We usually have our Lunar New Year event, and from our office, we just wanted to sort of give our condolences and thoughts and prayers. These are hate crimes that we're seeing sporadically, and that could have easily happened in Squirrel Hill, where we have multiple locations in our business district. So I just wanted to reach out, and I'll reach out to the councilwoman and talk about something that we could probably do for our residents in our adjoining neighborhoods as well. Just wanted to mention that. So thank you.
Thank you. Glad to see you on camera. Any further members?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you. I just wanted to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day, and especially to wish a happy wedding anniversary to my parents who've been married 59 years today.
Oh, good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any further members?
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Burgess.
Certainly, we are saddened by any hateful crime or hateful activity, right? Whether it's to the Asian community, whether it's to the Jewish community. Unfortunately, in this country, the #1 hate crime is toward African Americans. It is not discussed on a regular basis. We often do hateful things to African Americans, both hate crimes and things that are not hate crimes, but hateful. And we view it as normal, as business as usual. But when you do not have power, that's the way systematic racism works, where people believe they are destined. That's what white privilege looks like. They think because of their destiny or their family connections that they are owed positions of power or positions that they desire. And so then they either directly or indirectly encourage or support or allow hateful activities against African Americans to occur because they lack courage. It is a shame of what happened to the Asians, Asian Americans. It is shameful what's happening to African American people in being the number one victims of hate crimes. And, we need to start at home to make sure that we who are in positions of power and authority do not directly or indirectly participate in hateful activities toward other people based on sexual preference or gender or ethnicity. That's where we should start. It takes courage and it takes bravery. It takes being a mature adult, being able to stand up for what one believes in and not being manipulated or controlled by other people. And that's difficult to do. I know it's difficult to be a mature, a responsible adult person, but that's what we're called to be, especially those of us who are elected officials.
Thank you. Any other members? Seeing none, we need a motion to approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you.